Hey folks, this is August 24th, Sunday, and I'm calling this the Daily Word in the Crisis. Beth and I have just finished doing a weekend of ministry in a church here in St. Petersburg, Florida, and so I'm coming at you from my hotel room. You can count this for today, and you can count it for tomorrow, because tomorrow we'll be on the plane headed home. Ephesians 6:12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places. What Paul was talking about is a well-organized army. The Greek word is arche. It means those overarching, ruling demonic powers that shape cultures, that shape the way we think and believe and act. And then it speaks really of garden variety demons, spiritual hosts of wickedness. Later, Paul told us to stand firm against the schemes of the devil. The word in the Greek is schema. It means well-laid plans. The enemy's not stupid. Well-laid plans that shape what we think, what we feel, and what we believe, influencing the hearts and minds of influencers in the media, in government, in education, and other places that affect the way that we live. Well, because the devil comes disguised as an angel of light, these demonic arche work to convince those who promote the demonic agenda that they're doing it for the benefit of mankind, that they're defending rights, that they're seeking justice, that they're benefiting the middle class, that they're advocating for the working man, protecting our health. Abortion, for just one example, is clearly the taking of a human life. It's infanticide. Now, I'm in no way condemning women who've been duped by this lie and who have undergone abortions, but I'm pointing out the deception in it. It's billed as a woman's right to her own body and a decision to be made between her doctor and her. That sounds great, but it doesn't pan out when it's examined critically. What about the right of the child and the value of human life? And where do we draw the line between a child in the womb and a child a day old? Is that child in the womb a human being? Well, the devil would say no, in order to anesthetize us to the horrific nature of destroying the life. But the scriptural record and even science says, yes, that's a human being. Jeremiah 1, God said, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. In the Gospel of Luke, when Mary, who was 3 months pregnant with Jesus, met her kinswoman Elizabeth, the baby in Elizabeth's womb, perhaps at 6 months gestation, leaped for joy. That's consciousness. That's an alive and functioning human spirit capable of reacting to a stimulus with an emotional response. My wife and I visited a shop here in Florida today, where the girl at the counter told us of her family going for free coronavirus testing. They filled out the paperwork and they turned it in, but they were told to come back in 7 hours because the line was so long. Well, they never came back because it was just too long. But in 2 or 3 days, they received notices that they tested positive when they had never actually been tested. I've lost count now of how many times I've heard such first-hand stories. And now I've heard several first-hand reports of deaths that were listed as COVID when they were not, and the families had to threaten legal action to get it changed. One was actually a drowning. We're being lied to in a big way on a number of fronts. A whole lot of it feeding fear in order to serve an agenda that leads to the collapse of the economy and the loss of our freedoms, and in order to get Donald Trump out of office. Our demonic enemy works to deceive by desensitizing us to the truth, by bombarding us with the lie. Put a good-sounding face on it to make it seem like justice and goodness, and then we'll swallow it. Politicians, no matter which party they hail from, don't want you to think. They want you to react emotionally. They want you to throw your brains on the table and feel something, and by feeling it, they want you to regard it to be the truth. So the hatred flies because the parties each want you to hate the other party and vote for their own party on the basis of that hatred. And so there's no constructive dialogue, there's no exchange of ideas, there's no healthy debate. There are just accusations and protestations of outrage. This is the enemy's way. So I exhort and plead with my fellow believers in Jesus and with anybody else who may be listening to examine the actual facts, weigh them for yourself. Is Donald Trump really a fascist? Examine his record while in office. Is the Democratic Party really on your side? Think through what actually happens if Joe Biden is president. He says he'll raise taxes on individuals and on businesses, but he claims to be on your side to rebuild the economy shattered by this pandemic. But who will pay for this? Manufacturing jobs will flee the country once more, and unemployment will rise. Prices will rise to cover the increase in taxation, and we, the middle class, and everyone who buys goods and services will pay that bill. The dollar will inflate, and our earnings will be worth less. It's a double whammy economically, and it's a formula for collapse. And then ask why chloroxychloroquine, safely prescribed for a number of ailments for now 70 years, is suddenly panned as dangerous when a growing number of medical professionals on the front line are hundreds of them, are testifying that it knocks COVID-19 out in a matter of a couple of days, especially if it's taken early in the onset of the disease. Ask the questions. We're being fed a constant diet of fear to herd us like sheep toward a goal. The fear is demonically energized in order to advance a political agenda that isn't going to benefit you and me. Come out of the fear. Stop listening to demagoguery that's designed to create a visceral reaction in you that negates rational thought and leads you toward decisions based on emotions rather than actual facts. Get past the personalities involved, whether it's Donald Trump's abrasive rhetoric or Joe Biden's attempt at a fatherly tone. Investigate the actual facts. Look at the actual party platforms, the actual figures published by the CDC on the virus, and reason it through, then vote Christian values. I exhort, I'm taking a risk with this one. I exhort my African American brothers and sisters whom I deeply love to examine whether the Democratic Party is really your friend. Examine their history going back to the Civil War and decide whether they really stand with you. Then pray. Everyone, then pray and discern in the Spirit where the truth lies. Discernment can start as a sense of things. It can be something like an emotion, but it needs to be verified with hard facts. Seek the hard facts out. The hour is too crucial to do otherwise. Too much is at stake. God bless you all, and I will see you probably again Wednesday.